Hi, thank you. I'm actually a bit unhappy with it, but I it's been a while since I've sketched on paper, so it's fine. It's fine. I'm just testing things out at the moment, but thank you. Yeah, and it feels so weird. Like it's essentially the same thing, right? I mean, you're drawing. You know the movements, but it still feels off. So it's like, oh, geez, gotta relearn it. Okay, now how much time have I spent on it? Who knows? Hey, thank you, Samurai Fudge, for the follow. Welcome. It's a nice. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm trying to. Excuse me. I'm trying to get back into traditional sketching. I mean, that's what I always used to do, but I started just spending a lot of time playing around with digital, and I want to open up commissions again, but what is my but? um, yeah, I want to offer both traditional and digital sketches because I mean, just yeah, some people will just prefer traditional over digital, which is understandable because it's a physical object, right? And it's like, well, if I want to offer that, I need to get comfortable with pencil again. It's been a while. It has more fun to do. I mean, it is. It really is. I mean, both have their pros and their cons, right? But yeah, I mean, you just can't get. I mean, just the tactile sense of drawing is unparalleled. But digital is easier, and after the initial investment, cheaper. You don't have to keep buying more supplies. But still, yeah, I mean, so right now, wow, it's been a while, my friend. And using a pencil. Might do drawing again. Oh, I encourage you to do so. Yes, please. I'm someone who uh, stopped drawing for like about a decade, over a decade, a little under a decade. I can't tell. I barely got back into drawing, kind of sort of how I used to last year. So I've kind of been back on the drawing horse for like a year and some months, but yeah, I mean, it's weird coming back to something after so long. But it's also been fun, so yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Oh, I don't like that. And also, I just want to keep this loose and sketchy again. So I want to build up my speed. I think I'm kind of okay with my speed. I'm a very slow artist. I'm very slow, but at least with digital, since I've been doing it quite a bit this last year, I kind of have more of a flow. I know what I'm doing. It's easier, to move things around, yada yada yada, and my speed has improved. I don't know if I can translate that um, my newfound uh, and my improved skill with the speed into traditional, though. Yeah, gosh, I feel so confused. I shouldn't feel confused. Slow is better than quick and sloppy. I mean, yeah, totally. Especially if you're doing something, you know, say like a big commission, like a very serious commission, totally. But I do want these to be a little looser. Gosh, wow, holy cow. This should be closer this way. Is the scratching sound very loud? It's no problem. Okay, awesome. Thank you. It's because I have the microphone right next to this drawing surface. And it's like, oh no, what if what if that's becoming a problem? Okay, thank you. Hey, nobody. How are you? How's nobody today? Yeah, look, hands. I have them. A little swollen right now, but yeah, I got hands. Oh, it's too curved. It's fine. I'm well. Just woke up. Oh, are you getting ready for work or? I'm okay. I'm just testing uh testing the traditional setup again because I hardly do it, and also just trying to practice quick traditional sketching. I think in this case I want to where is it? Hello. Elmac. Elmac. How you doing, Elmac? Shadow guitar controllering a game with a stupid hat on. Ay ay ay. Why don't you work on speed, right? What better way to do that with? We'll be going to work in about 3 hours or so. Okay, so you're getting ready? Well, I mean, you have time, right? But Chihuahua. Okay. Gosh darn it, Elmac. Sketchbook. Oh, sorry. The long silly one that they own. Okay, let's see. Wait, hold on. I do have a timer. I also need to turn on said timer. Oh, where are you? Sorry, I'm not familiar. I guess I'll see. Oh, I have a redeem with channel points. You can redeem a 5-minute doodle or a 10-minute doodle, and Elmec is a friend who who is always fighting with my spouse, and yeah. Okay, so it was a 5-minute doodle, right? Yeah, 5 minutes on the clock. Got my timer. Oh, jeez. I never fight. No, of course not. Of course not. Let's see. 5 minutes. Am I... Yeah, I think this would be a better angle. Sorry. Okay, that's a little better. Wait, hold on. Left. I know my left from right? Totally. I don't remember what the Guitar Hero controller looks like. There you go. It's guitar shaped. That's what a guitar looks like. It's guitar shaped. Well, there you go, Elmec. What is it? May? No, not May. It's June 4th, 24. For Elmec. 5 minutes. There you go. You're welcome, Elmec. Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, there you go. With the silly hat. I'll have Shadow send you the image on Discord. Yeah, yeah. Well, there you go. What else is in here? Mostly notes. Okay. Don't tell him. I have to. How else are you gonna get it? Did I get any? Let me get rid of the timer. We do not need that anymore. Oh, I don't have them. Ah, hey Nexies, how are you? He'll yell at me. Well then don't be looking for trouble. Pero qué tonto es. ¿Por qué no puedes irte para arriba? I can't do that little. How you doing, Nexies? How are you? Oh, sure. Oh, that spray just sprayed everywhere. Where did it go? Okay. So, oh, did you see? Did you see Nexies what Elmac redeemed? He asked for a 5-minute doodle redeem of. You saw, all right. I didn't redeem it. You did. Elmac, that's not how it works. I mean, all you have to do is just scroll back up there. It's right there, Elmac. You can't fight. It's documented. Hey, Rathe, what's up? How are you? What's up, my friends? Shadow's gonna love it. Oh, dear. Ugh. Let's hope I don't get in trouble. Okay, I have a lot of pencils here. I don't know which ones I'm using anymore. Oh, I am not using this one. My teeny tiny little... my two ends super glued together because I refuse to throw it away. Because, yeah. Gotta use it all up. It's documented. It happened. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, you can't fight it. Unless you want to say it's alternative facts or something. Right, I wanted to use the 2B pencil. Because as much as I love my mechanical pencil, I feel I need something a little thicker. But for that, I need my sharpener. This is also very, it is very small. That's commitment right there. Yeah. Just a cheapskate. It's so difficult to turn the pencil. Okay, there we go. Okay. So since it's so small, and I can't really hold on to it, well, I guess I could, but I just stick it into this, and hooray! Ta-da! Doing good. Ah, that's good. Good to hear. Hey, is school out for you yet, or no? You're still working with the kiddos. All is well here. You know, it goes. Let's see. Right now, I am just trying to remember how to work with pencils and paper, and not depend on Control Z and undo and the lasso transform tool. I was like, oh, I need to move this a little bit more over here. Like, no, you need to erase. And be a little more conscious of what you're doing. Ah, man. So what was I doing? Yeah, I'm just trying to give more shadow. I don't know if I like that anymore. Yeah. Who needs the lasso tool when you have scissors and glue? Exactly, Nexies. Yeah, see, you get it. You get it. That's exactly what you do. Or like the old school trick where they would get like, you know, like Post-it notes. This isn't Post-it, but kind of the idea. And then it's like, oh no, well that's not right. Well, we're just gonna tape it over and redraw it in the correct position now. Oh, jeez. You know what? I'm so unsure of myself. I really don't I don't. I do want to clean these up just a little bit, not too much. But still, like... Hands? Scandalous. Hey, Marty. How are you? Long time no see. Ayo, everyone new here today. It's my birthday. Hey, yo. Happy birthday. Sorry, like, I don't know. It's like little firecrackers. But happy birthday to you. Good grief. Yeah, you know what? Oh, shoot. Oh, Marty. Marty, thank you. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate the gift sub. And Savion, happy birthday. Enjoy all the emotes now. Hello. Welcome. Let's see. Back to trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing. I used to do this all the time. Why is it hard? It should not be hard. How do you draw a knot? I think that's my problem, is that just I don't think I'm comfortable with a thin brush. I mean, digital brush. A thin tool anymore. But then this is also very uncomfortable. I used to have pencils. Where are they? No. I need to work on it. I need to work with what I have, which is this. Also, this little lip, you can't see, but like this little lip on the it bothers me, You know how sometimes you grow up listening to songs and you don't really question it until you're older, and then you're like, huh, hmm. Can you even see? Am I in view? Yeah, okay. I think next time I will not be using this thing. I do like that it's tilted, but otherwise. Hi, ZZ Nerd! How are you? Welcome! Man, it's already been 45 minutes. Long time no chat. How are you? I'm doing okay. How about yourself? What you been up to? Just trying to draw. Like, attempts are being made. How successful am I? I don't know. Not much lately? Yeah. Oh, there goes one earbud. One of them died. Where is my case? Hey Marty, did you win your last match? You know what else I need? I need a piece of paper so I don't smudge it all up. We reached 200 wins. Oh, heck yeah. I think that's good. I'm assuming that's good. See, is there anything I can show you guys from my sketchbook? Oh. Yesterday I was streaming this. I was drawing my D&D characters as ducks. So I did try doing it traditionally, and then I got frustrated because I needed to move some things around, but I didn't want to redo it. So I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna scan it and then I'll do it digitally. And that's what I did. Oh, thank you so much, ZZ Nerd. Yeah, I really do like doing traditional. I just haven't done it in a bit. Thank you so much, Marty. Thank you, dude. Thank you so much. Thank you. You're so generous. Thank you so much for the gift sub to ZZZ Nerd. Thank you. Enjoy the emote, ZZ Nerd. Ooh, things are falling out. Things are falling out. Let's see, what else? Let's do a little bit of a showcase. Do I have anything? I have a lot of embarrassing things here, which we shall not be Oh, this is for Rathe if you're still around. It's his D&D character trying to who's a bard trying to pick up some poor gnome lady who's just had a huge slaughter in her bar. And he thought it was a perfect time, to pick her up. Yeah, there's not really much here. I don't really sketch the way I used to. Excuse me. Shadow is bullying me again. Are you sure he's bullying you or the other way around? Who started it? Anywho. Okay, so we have this. This I'm pretty sure is wrong. This. Yeah, pat. Yeah. Here. There you go, Elmac. Pat. Right on the head. Let's see. The problem with this hand is oh, sorry. Yeah, I was talking with somebody off mic, but yes. Am I on Instagram? Yeah, I am. Actually, you can find me through that link. But yeah, I'm on the Instagrams. For better or for worse. Yeah, I know a lot of people are leaving Instagram right now. But yeah, I'm just gonna stick through with it. I mean, I'm not happy about it, but don't like that it's hitting the teeth. I really don't like that. Hold on. Now it's hitting his nose. Oh well. Okay, so yeah, this is definitely not my best work. My account is private, but I'd love to show you some of them. Yeah, definitely. Um, uh, hmm. I mean, because since it's private, even a direct link to anything wouldn't work, right? Hmm. But yeah, I totally love to see your work. I just need to figure out how. It wouldn't. I'll just. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, totally. Yeah, you're welcome to send me a DM. Oh, also I need to zoom in, right? Yeah, because I was zoomed out for the other thing. Yeah, hold on. I think that's fine. Hey, dude! I'm not gonna lie, it's a little. Should I go by your new name, or should I still go by Fateful? Let me know. But dude, thank you. Yeah, I saw your new username. Well, I guess yeah, whatever you feel. Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I'll go by your name. I mean, that's what you're going as, so yeah. But yeah, I saw the change on, like, on Instagram. I'm like, who's this? I don't know this person. It's like, oh no, yes I do. But how you doing? I did that. You know what? Before I start adding like shadows and stuff, I should just put in down the lines first, and then start adding some of the shading, right? Because that would make more sense. And then I can clean up. Yeah, actually, I didn't want to draw more turtles. I mean, I won't complain about it, but I mean, after a month of just drawing turtle stuff, I wanted to draw something else, as sketch practice, but at the same time, I figured, well, since I was drawing turtles for a month, I should. That would mean I'm more comfortable with it, and so therefore, this should be easier, right? That's how it should work. And thumb would be over here. Pero, God no, I'm so out of practice. Good lord. Ugh, good grief. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. Practicing my pen doodle skills. Here we are practicing traditional media. But I mean, you do that a lot too, right? You do a lot of pen work. I think I want to start cleaning things up. How long have I been on? An hour. Should have been done a long time ago. Is that his hair? No one needs to see that. Also, hold on, let me. Because I need to get closer, but I do not want to show up in frame. I want to clean up just a little bit, not too much. Especially like these damn lines. Oh, Marty. Marty Rules gifted you a sub. I was about to go to bed. You know what? Let me. Where is my blade? I'm going to. Hello. That's a little beater. Get rid of that. Alrighty. Holy cow, that just made it worse. Wow. Orale. Okay. Well then. What the hell happened there? Yeah, I'm definitely very out of practice with traditional, and I'm very slow, and it's very messy. I don't really think offering traditional sketches at the moment would be the smart thing to do. Oops, out of frame. Sorry, guys. Oh. I have eraser dust everywhere. Woo! I brought you some carrot cake. Oh, heck yeah. Man, I love my carrot cake. I appreciate that. Thank you. Oh, man, I wish I did have real carrot cake. Oh, man. I hope your birthday's been going well. hold on. Because with these shadows, I don't even really have a real light source, do I? Nope. I'm just putting lines wherever without thinking. That's never good. hi, Golden Fox. Hello. Welcome. What's up? Not much. To take a break from what I was doing. Just browsing recommended art channels. Oh, cool. Just checking out who's on and all that jazz. Well, thanks for dropping in. Appreciate it. I'm just trying to get back into the habit of sketching traditionally. I was doing a lot of digital right there, which I mean I still like and I'll keep doing, but I do miss pencil and paper, and I'm not gonna lie, it's a bit of a struggle getting back into it. This used to be so much easier. But I guess like most things, the more you do it, the easier it'll become. Practice and all that. But anyway, yeah, just a messy turtle. Because, wow, does it look messy on paper? Just... It's so much smudging. Holy crap. Oh, it's so bad. It's just, yeah, so much smudging. Yeah. I'm gonna have to... figure some shit out, yeah. Yeah, I guess I'm not gonna use this paper anymore. It's way too smudgy. I mean, I used to use it back in the day, but wow. Smudge always tricky. I hear resting your hand on a piece of tracing paper helps prevent. Yeah, that's what I have this right here for. It's you know those plastic protectors, like when you have like a binder? I don't know if they still do that, but yeah, that's what I use. A lot of times I'll put it underneath like another piece of paper, like if I'm doing marker, for example, so it doesn't bleed to the other sheet underneath. I put this, but it's also really great for, yeah, exactly what you said. Yeah, these smudges actually aren't from my hand. It's from the eraser. Okay, some of it is my hand. I'm not gonna lie, yeah. But man, it's been woof. It's not the glorious comeback I was expecting. Yeah, good erasers are hard to come by. Yeah, I mean, I'm using my trusty kneaded, you know, the white plastic erasers. Also this. It's a very hard eraser, so it's great for like, it's not as flimsy or as soft, say, as like this one. But you know what I really I would like to invest in is an electronic eraser. I wonder what point I should stop. You know what I haven't used is this eraser. Is it picking anything up? I don't think so. Sorry. Camera's finicky. Are you back? Are you working? Are you cooperating? Yes, you are. Thank you. No, you're not. Frickin' A. Come on. I didn't know there was such a thing outside of like maybe a laser beam. Yeah, they've been around for quite a while. But it always seemed kind of hokey, I guess. I was like, well, why would you need an electronic eraser? But no, yeah, people swear by it. I mean, for one, if you already have like I have arthritis, so my hands get tired. So anything that helps in that regard, pretty awesome. Also, because it is such like a little micro vibration. Supposedly, it erases really well, and they're not that expensive anymore. I think when they first came out, like years ago, they were kind of pricey, but I think now they're, well, aside from inflation, I think they're pretty economical. They're easier to come by. Oh jeez, I need some water. Some water. Let's see. Yeah, I should put it in my cart, because it's one of those things where like, yeah, I'm gonna get this, and then I forget once I'm actually shopping. But I should make a note of it. Man, I don't even want to work on that hand. Kind of feel like just ending right here. How do shells work? It was da, da, da. Yeah. Let's see. You know what? I don't think I have a Zubat. Despite it being Gen 1. Oh, I do have it. Never mind. Yeah, yeah. Mm. Playlist is pretty good. Ah, thanks. Yeah, I mean it's a YouTube playlist, recommended playlist. Yeah, it's got good songs on it. I like it. Yeah, I play a little bit of everything. Yesterday was like mostly Nine Inch Nails and uh, like some corn and such. But yeah, today not quite. I don't consider this quite oldies, but yeah. I mean, I guess they are. But yeah. Let's see. Uh, I know. I just refuse. Late 70s, early 80s. Well, because earlier it had songs from like Donovan and was it the Shondells? No, I don't think they had Shondells today. I don't know. It's been a little. It's been kind of like late 60s, 70s, and I guess 80s also. Yeah, it's kind of in that era. But yeah, there were some. Do, 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 do. Oops, sorry. All right. Yeah, it's like what I expect off the soundtrack for The Big Lebowski or from the KDST radio station. Yeah. Yeah, it's not so bad. Let's see what's the next one. Yeah, like next is Black Sabbath. And then Gold Earring. And then the Zombies. So, you know, we had and some Stones, some Billy Idol. Yeah, it's a little bit of everything right there. Oh, he already left? Okay. Close that tag. Is it White Wedding? I think it was Rebel Yell. Yeah, Rebel Yell. And the next one is Black Sabbath War Pigs. Of course, always one of the two. Yeah, it's like it's yeah. I wish they would play something else. I mean, I could just look it up, and I do have other songs like MP3s on my computer. But right now, it's just easier to stream it through YouTube. But I do wish they would put in more variety in the recommendations. But yeah, it's like it's always one or the other. Yeah, you know, this does not. At least it's keeping in theme. Yeah, you are correct. Yeah, this arm would not work that way. think also I just need to be lighter with my red pencil. Guess I just need to be more careful. Let's see, this close dark, this shoulder, shoulder. Okay, yeah, that wouldn't look like that. That would be like this. That would be over here, elbow. Hey. For not having drawn with pencil and God knows how long, it's, you know, it's okay. Oh, hello. Very screechy. I don't often pencil a lot, but the reason I take a break is because I have been today and my hand hurt, not gonna lie. Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, it is tiring. I agree. And it's good to take a break. Breaks are good, necessary. I tried to use my fountain pen instead so that I didn't have to push as hard, but the paper is too bleedy. Ah! Ain't it the way? It's like you think you found a solution, an alternative. And it's like, nope. Sorry, but no. Oh, geez, yeah. Oh, I hate bleedy paper. It's like, it's not the worst thing in the world, but my gosh, is it? It's horrible. It's so disappointing too, especially if you've taken like the time to sketch something, draw something, and you're like, yeah, all it needs now is just some nice inking, and then blech, just bleeds everywhere. Like, how dare you? The audacity. You know what? Maybe if this had a little bit of reflective light. It's hard for ink because the paper can't be too absorbent or too non-absorbent. Because then either it will bleed too much or it'll never dry. Oh, I've been there. I was like, yeah, I think it's dry now. Smear. Man. The struggle, right? Jeez. I don't know why I keep trying to add in lines that don't even make sense, but hey. If you add more to it, it'll just somehow magically become better, right? Alright, yeah, no, I'm just moving things around, but yeah, it's not gonna get any better. It is very smudgy. If you can see. Wait, hold on, let me. Yeah, it's very dirty. I guess I went a little too heavy-handed when I started sketching with the red pencil. So it was obviously, difficult to erase these types of lines. It's a lot of shadows. I mean, they're more noticeable in person. But, I mean, again, not everything you do has to be perfect. Not everything you do you have to keep. It's just practice. I'm just trying to get back into it. And yeah, so I got myself a Ninja Turtle. Another one for the batch. And let's see, what was today? Oh, thank you so much, man. Appreciate the follow. What's today? June 4th. I think I'll scan it and clean it up a bit. Digital to the rescue. Let's see, and I have this other piece. I'm not sure if I should keep going. I mean, it's been 2 hours. It's not bad. I honestly don't know what to sketch though. Let's see. Because I wanted to. Let's see, something simple. Yeah, I'm honestly drawing a blank. I can't think of anything to draw at the moment. Man, 2 hours seems so little. But, yeah, I mean, it's good, right? That's what a lot of people stream. Fox-based art, always a good choice. You mean like Fox, like Star Fox? Or just foxes in general? I don't think I have drawn a fox. Oh man, I have so much eraser dust everywhere. Holy cow. Yeah, let's see. I think like eating trash, stockpiling stick and rock. Typical fox business. Yeah, I get you. I get you. I don't know. I think I may call it. I'll call it today. It'll be a short stream. 2 hours, I think that's good, right? Yeah. That's what a lot of people tend to stream. I think it's good. Yeah, yeah. Alright. Oh, thank you. Thank you for dropping in. And for the follow. I appreciate it. It was cool chatting with you. Yeah. I'll see you later. Yeah, and yeah, nobody I really follow right now is on. Yeah, goodbye. Bye. See you later. You know what? Let me give Upside Down Matt a raid. He's a cool dude. He's playing a game. Yeah. Chill out there for a bit. Alright, well, thank you everyone who dropped by. Chatting, saying hello, lurking. Thank you, Marty, for all the gift subs. So generous. Thank you, my dude. And I'll see you guys. I'll see everybody sometime later. Don't know when. It'll happen when it'll happen. Bye, y'all.